Dear students, today we are going to learn good documentation practices from the subject quality assurance technique. Before we proceed further, good documentation practices are one of the key components which are used in quality management system and good manufacturing practices. Good documentation practices leads to good collection of data and less duplication of work, and we can assure that the data which is provided is the accurate data which has not been manipulated. Why good documentation practices is needed? As it is one of the key requirements of quality management system and good manufacturing practices. It is said in industry that if not documented means not done. If you did not document it, it did not happen. In short, we can say that if it is documented, it's done. That is the reason good documentation practices are very essential components in overall quality of the product. What all things are included under good documentation practices? It describes various methods of recording of data, rectification of written data. It also includes how to do documentation on paper, the documentation in electronic form, photocopy of any other documents. SOP is applicable to master documents, records being maintained, training, validation, qualification, calibration, and maintenance of manufacturing equipment and utility systems, etc. As we have already studied in the earlier chapters that SOP stands for Standard Operating Procedures. We have also seen what validation means, what qualification means, and what calibration means. Now, we are going to discuss who is really responsible for carrying out good documentation practices. The responsibility lies on the departmental heads. The departmental heads strictly adheres of the personal to good documentation practice. Also, executive QA, quality assurance, as well as designing, they are mainly responsible for monitoring of the documentation procedures. And the quality head is having the responsibility of overall control over the documentation. How the document should be in DDP. The document should be clear, precise, accurate, legible, and unambiguous. You can see over here the label on the plastic vial which is mentioned over here. The label is not clear. Now, prohibition. Some things are prohibited. For example, the erasable ink, correction fluid. For example, we use whiteners, use of pencils. So such things are prohibited when we do documentation in our day-to-day manufacturing. There are certain rules which we have to follow. Clearly record the data. For example, if you see on the slide, you will find that we have written a number. So it's very difficult to say whether it is number 29, 27 or 24. You will be keeping, you will be in the guess, saying that no, it's 29, no, it's 27, and the some other person may think that no, it's 24. Hmm. What do we do now? The answer is here. When documenting, we have to keep in mind certain things. Direct transcription onto document, legible writing, blue indeligible ballpoint pen. Put initial to authenticate. Wherever there is an overwriting, we should have a proper justification stating why overwriting has been done. The date format, which is universally accepted, is DD, MM, YYY. Time format, it is in 24 hours. For example, if it is 2 p.m., we have to write 14 hours. While documenting, we have to keep some other points also in our mind. No rounding off in BOM and dispensing record. Documents with boxes or spaces. Each one will be complete without exception. If not applicable, put dash or in capital write any means not applicable as appropriate. Data in margin, initial die, dated and link to respective data. Page or part of the page not applicable. Diagonally cross, sign and date it. The page which is not applicable should be diagonally cross as well as sign and date it. Data to be repeated. Write it. No detour signs. As we do to save our time, but when it comes to good documentation practices, we can't use detour signs. Do not write on backside of paper. And the most important thing while documenting, no backdating. Annexures or attachment. Lot of times we need various attachments as well as annexures to put the documentation in proper way. Whenever you are adding annexures or attachment, they should be given a proper initial of the person with his sign, then the reference number of the principal document, field or affixed with principal document, binary page number systems, page X of Y, or we can say A of Z, B of Z in such a way. Photocopy. While doing documentation, we need to photocopy some of the documents. Same record to be used for several documents. Original record need not immediately available. No hiding of information while photocopying. Reference number of original document. So these are the some of the things which we have to keep in our mind when we are photocopying the original documents. Suppose we have to rectify the data. So what are the things which we have to do? No modification without quality assurance team approval. To be done by the person who recorded or who supervised. The person who has recorded the data is has to be the person who is going to do the rectification in the data. Blue indeligible ballpoint pen is used. Strike through with single line. Here I have given the example over here. For example, the data word has been written over here and I have to rectify the data. So I am going to simply strike with the help of a single line. Allow each reading Allow easy reading of cancelled data. Prohibition. As we have seen in the earlier part of our presentation, some of the things are prohibited while writing the data. For example, erasable ink, correction fluid such as whiteners, use of pencils. In rectification of data, when you are writing the corrected information near as possible to the crossed out information. So we have to keep in our mind that when we are writing the corrected data, it should be near toward the strike line where we are rectifying the data. It should be initial as well as dated. Brief but clear explanation. You have to give the explanation why you have rectified the data, which should be short and a clear explanation should be there. Insufficient space. Use blank spaces whichever which are available on pages. Link by distinctive sign. Numerous correction or spoiled document. Retranscript on new document after QA approval. Initial document to be attached to no document. And lastly, new document shall bear following remark. Document recopied from the original attached in annexer and after acceptance by quality assurance, which includes the date and sign. So in short, or just to summarize, whenever we are rectifying a data, we have to first take the approval from QE, and where there are numerous corrections on the pages or spoiled document, we have to attach the original document in annexer, and also we have to give the following remark, which includes document recopied from the original attached in annexer and after acceptance by quality assurance. I hope you have understand what good documentation practices mean. With this, we conclude the topic good documentation practice. In summary, we can say that whenever you document the data in a proper and a systematic way, it means you have follow all the practices which leads to a quality product. Thank you.